A mother's unimaginable act of killing her own children and concealing their bodies in suitcases has led to a life sentence in prison, leaving a trail of devastation and unanswered questions. But here's where it gets even more heartbreaking. The court's decision today not only punishes a heinous crime but also exposes the profound mental health struggles and familial isolation that can drive someone to such extremes. Hakyung Lee, found guilty of murdering her two young children, Yuna, 8, and Minu Jo, 6, will serve a minimum of 17 years without parole. Justice Geoffrey Venning emphasized that despite Lee's severe depression, her calculated actions before, during, and after the killings demonstrated a deliberate effort to start a new life in Korea, free from the reminders of her tragic past. And this is the part most people miss. The case, which captured international attention after the children's remains were discovered in a storage locker in Auckland, New Zealand, is as much about systemic failures as it is about individual tragedy. Prosecutors pushed for a longer non-parole period, arguing Lee's post-murder actions showed clear intent, possibly driven by a desire to escape the burden of parenthood. The defense, however, painted a picture of a woman spiraling into despair after her husband's death, culminating in what they described as a descent into madness. The children's bodies were found in August 2022 by a family who had purchased the contents of an abandoned locker in an online auction. Lee was arrested in South Korea shortly after and extradited to New Zealand to face justice. At trial, her defense argued she was insane at the time of the killings, claiming she had attempted a murder-suicide using antidepressants but mistakenly miscalculated the dosage, waking up to find her children dead. She then hid their bodies, changed her name, and fled to South Korea. Here's where it gets controversial. While Lee's actions are undeniably horrific, her mother's victim impact statement reveals a deeper layer of pain and societal judgment. Lee's mother, who had believed her daughter and grandchildren were living in Australia, was ostracized by her church community after the truth emerged. "I was simply the mother of a murderer," she wrote, detailing her isolation and suicidal thoughts. This raises a thought-provoking question. How does society support the families of perpetrators, who are often victims themselves? Lee's brother-in-law echoed this sentiment, describing the family's shattered hope and the impossible task of shielding his own mother, who is battling cancer, from the truth. "I feel like a terrible brother," he admitted, grappling with guilt over failing to protect his niece and nephew after his brother's death. This case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about mental health, familial responsibility, and societal judgment. But here's the real question: could this tragedy have been prevented with better support systems? And how do we balance accountability with compassion for those who commit unspeakable acts? Share your thoughts in the comments. This is a conversation that demands nuance and empathy.